You know, I've spent most of my life studying success, not just reading about it or theorizing from some ivory tower, but truly observing it in the lives of real people, people I've worked with, people I've interviewed, people who've transformed their circumstances from ordinary to extraordinary. And I've discovered something remarkable, something so simple that when I first tell people about it, they almost dismiss it out of hand. They think, that can't be it. That can't be the secret. Success must be more complicated than that. But here's what I know to be true, what I've verified through decades of observation and personal experience. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't often comes down to one simple habit. Not talent, not luck, not even intelligence, though that helps. A habit. One daily practice that, when applied consistently over time, transforms everything it touches. Your career, your finances, your relationships, your peace of mind, your entire life. Let me tell you about a man I once knew. Let's call him Jim. Jim worked in sales at a modest company in the Midwest. He wasn't the most gifted salesman when he started. He didn't have the best territory. In fact, his territory was considered one of the weaker ones. He didn't come from money or connections. He didn't have a college degree. By every conventional measure, Jim should have been just another average salesman, making an average living, retiring with an average pension. But Jim did something every single day that his colleagues didn't do. Something simple, something that cost him nothing, and within 5 years. While his peers were still complaining about their commissions, grumbling about their territories, blaming the economy or the company or their customers, Jim owned his own successful business and had achieved financial independence. His former colleagues would look at him and say, Jim got lucky. He must have known somebody. He must have caught a break. But it wasn't luck. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it was. But first, I want you to think about your own life right now, at this very moment. Think about where you are in your career, your finances, your personal growth. Are you where you want to be? And be honest with yourself now. If not, why not? What's the one thing standing between you and the life you truly want? Is it lack of opportunity? Is it lack of time? Is it lack of resources? Or could it be something else entirely? Here's what I've learned after all these years of study and observation. Most people fail not because they lack opportunity. Opportunities are everywhere, especially in a free society like ours, but because they lack a system. They lack a method. They go through life reacting to circumstances instead of creating them. They wake up each day and simply respond to whatever comes their way. Emails, phone calls, crises, other people's demands, emergencies, interruptions. They're busy, certainly. Oh, they're tremendously busy. They collapse into bed each night exhausted. But here's the question. Are they progressing toward anything meaningful? Are they building something? Or are they just treading water, staying busy to feel productive while making no real progress? You see, there's a fundamental difference between motion and progress. Motion is activity. Running around, checking things off lists, attending meetings, answering messages. Progress is actually moving toward a meaningful goal. And most people mistake motion for progress. They're moving all the time, but they're not going anywhere. The habit I'm going to share with you today changed my life fundamentally. It's changed the lives of countless others I've taught over the years. People who've written to me, people I've spoken with, people who've applied this principle and seen their lives transform. And if you apply it starting today, not tomorrow, not next Monday when you're less busy, not after the holidays, but today, I promise you 12 months from now you'll look back and barely recognize the person you were. You'll wonder how you ever lived without this habit. Now, this isn't complicated. It doesn't require special equipment or a large financial investment. It doesn't require you to quit your job or move to another city or completely upend your life. It simply requires a decision to take control of the most valuable asset you possess, an asset that's worth more than all the gold in Fort Knox, worth more than all the oil in Texas, worth more than any inheritance you could receive. I'm talking about your mind. Your mind is your greatest asset, but only, and this is crucial, only if you learn to direct it. An undirected mind is no asset at all. It's a liability. It becomes a breeding ground for worry, fear, anxiety, and random unproductive thoughts. But a directed mind, a mind that you consciously control and focus, that's the foundation of all achievement, all success, all happiness. So let me share with you the most powerful habit that changes everything. And then I'll show you exactly how to implement it in your life, starting today. When I was a young man, just back from the war, I was searching desperately for answers. I'd been through the Depression as a boy. I'd seen my family struggle, seen good people lose everything through no fault of their own. I'd served in the Marines during the war, and I came back to civilian life wondering what really made the difference between success and failure, between prosperity and poverty, between a life of meaning and a life of quiet desperation. Why did some people seem to have everything, satisfying careers, financial security, happy families, peace of mind, while others, equally intelligent, equally hardworking, equally deserving, struggled their entire lives? This question consumed me. It kept me up at night. I had to know the answer, so I became obsessed. I read everything I could find on success, achievement, psychology, philosophy. I studied successful people wherever I could find them. I watched them, talked to them whenever possible, analyzed their habits, their thinking patterns, their daily routines. I was like a detective trying to solve a mystery, and gradually, piece by piece, a pattern emerged. There was a gentleman I met during this time named Mr. Thompson. I'll never forget him. He was a wealthy businessman who'd built his fortune from absolutely nothing. He'd started as a clerk in a hardware store during the Depression and had built a chain of successful businesses across 3 states. He was in his 60s when I met him, financially independent, respected in his community, and still sharp as a tack. One day I worked up the courage to ask him directly, "Mr. Thompson, what's your secret? What do you do that other people don't? I've met a lot of people who work hard, who are smart, who have good intentions, but they never seem to get ahead. You've built something remarkable. What's the difference?" He smiled at me. I remember that smile. It was knowing, almost amused. And he said, "Earl, I'm going to tell you something, and you're probably going to think it's too simple. Everyone does when I tell them. But it's the truth." He leaned forward in his chair and said, "Every single morning, before I do anything else, before I read the newspaper, before I go to the office, before I even have breakfast with my family, I spend 1 hour thinking." I must have looked confused because he continued, "Not worrying, mind you, not daydreaming. Thinking. Deliberate, focused thinking. I think about my goals, where I want to be in 6 months, a year, 5 years. I think about my challenges. What's blocking my progress? What problems need solving? I think about my next steps. What actions will actually move me forward today? And I write down my thoughts. I don't just let them float around in my head. I write them down on paper where I can see them, organize them, work with them. And by the end of that hour, I know exactly what my day must accomplish. I know what's truly important and what's merely noise. I know where to focus my energy." He paused and looked at me intently. "Earl," he said, "most people never think. Not really. They simply react. They let the world tell them what to do, where to go, what to believe, what to buy, what to fear. They're like leaves blowing in the wind. They go wherever the current takes them. But the person who takes time each day to think, truly think, about their life and their direction, that person becomes the architect of their own future, instead of just a tenant in someone else's building." Those words hit me like a thunderbolt. I'd been reading complicated theories about success, looking for some secret formula, some hidden knowledge. And here was this successful man telling me the answer was simpler than I'd imagined. Think. Take time every day to think deliberately about your life and your direction. But here's what I realized as he continued talking. Most people confuse thinking with worrying. They confuse it with replaying past mistakes or imagining future disasters. That's not thinking. That's mental static. Real thinking is purposeful. It's directed. It's asking yourself powerful questions and working through the answers. It's examining your goals and your current reality and figuring out how to bridge the gap. It's creative problem solving. It's planning. It's reflection on what's working and what isn't. I decided right then to test this principle in my own life. Starting the very next morning, I began waking up 1 hour earlier than I needed to. This meant setting my alarm for 5 o'clock, which wasn't easy at first. But I was determined. While the world was still quiet, while my mind was fresh and undistracted by the day's demands, I would sit in my study with a notebook and a pen, and I would think. I would think about my goals, not vaguely, the way most people do, but specifically. Exactly where did I want to be in 1 year? What did that look like in concrete terms? 5 years, 10 years, what did I need to learn to get there? What skills did I need to develop? What actions would actually move me forward as opposed to just keeping me busy? What was I avoiding that I needed to confront? What opportunities was I missing because I wasn't paying attention? And then I would write down my thoughts, my plans, my insights, my questions. Sometimes I would write a single page, sometimes several pages. But every single morning without exception, weekends, holidays, whether I felt like it or not, I gave myself that one sacred hour. Now, I want to be honest with you about what happened next, because I think this is important. The first few days were difficult. My mind would wander. I'd think about my problems, and worry would creep in. I'd start planning my day, and it would just feel like another task. I almost gave up after the first week because I wasn't seeing any dramatic results, and that hour of sleep was calling to me. But I'd made a commitment to myself, so I persisted. And here's what I discovered around day 10. Something shifted. My thinking became clearer. Ideas started coming more easily, and by the end of the first month, the results were undeniable and extraordinary. I noticed that solutions to problems that had stumped me for weeks suddenly became obvious. I'd be sitting there during my thinking hour, and I'd ask myself, what's really blocking me on this project? And the answer would come, or I'd ask, who do I need to talk to? And a name would pop into my head, someone I hadn't thought of, but who turned out to be exactly the right connection. Ideas came to me more readily, not just during that hour, but throughout the day. It was as if by setting aside that dedicated time for thinking, I'd activated something in my mind. I started seeing opportunities I'd been blind to before, connections I'd missed, possibilities that had always been there but that I'd never noticed, because I was too busy reacting to life instead of directing it. Within 3 months, my income had increased by 40%, not because I was working harder. I was actually working less, but more effectively. I was focusing on the activities that truly mattered instead of dispersing my energy across 100 unimportant tasks. Within a year, I'd made more progress toward my goals than I had in the previous 5 years combined. Why? Because I was directing my mind instead of letting it wander aimlessly. You see, your mind is exactly like a garden. If you don't plant seeds deliberately, good seeds, the seeds of the flowers and vegetables you actually want, then weeds will grow on their own. They don't need any help. Weeds are automatic. And most people's minds are overrun with weeds. Worry, distraction, other people's opinions, fears, random thoughts that lead nowhere productive, mental replay of past failures, anxiety about imagined futures that will never happen. But when you take time each day to cultivate your mind, to plant specific thoughts and ideas, to pull out the weeds and nurture what you want to grow, everything changes. Your mind becomes a productive garden instead of an overgrown field. Now, let me tell you more about that salesman, Jim, I mentioned at the beginning, because his story perfectly illustrates this principle in action. Jim learned about this habit from an older salesman who'd been his mentor when he first started. This mentor had told him, Jim, if you want to be successful in this business, or any business, you need to outthink your competition, not just outwork them. And thinking requires time. Dedicated, uninterrupted time. So Jim started a practice that he maintained every single day for decades. Every morning at 6 o'clock sharp, before his wife and children woke up, before the phone could ring, before the distractions of the day could claim him, Jim would sit down at his kitchen table with his coffee and a notebook. For 1 solid hour, he would engage in what he called his success hour. During this hour, Jim would do several things. First, he would review his goals. He had them written down, specific. Measurable goals for his income, his sales targets, his personal development, his family life. He'd read through them, visualize them as already accomplished, and recommit to them. Second, he would study. He'd read articles about sales techniques, about his industry, about psychology and persuasion. He'd study his most successful competitors, not to copy them, but to learn from them. He'd read about his clients' industries so he could understand their problems better than they did themselves. Third, he would plan. He'd look at his client list and ask himself, who needs my help right now? Who am I neglecting? Who has a problem I could solve? He'd plan his approach for important calls and meetings. He'd think through potential objections and how to address them. He'd consider what value he could provide that his competitors weren't providing. And fourth, and this is crucial, he would think creatively about how to serve his clients better. Not just how to make more sales, but how to genuinely help them succeed. He'd ask himself, what does Mr. Johnson really need right now? What's keeping him up at night? How can I be more valuable to him? This kind of thinking led to insights that his competitors never had, because they never took the time to think deeply about their clients' real needs. While his competitors were rolling out of bed at the last possible minute, rushing through breakfast, fighting traffic while their minds filled with worry and stress, and arriving at work already feeling behind and reactive, Jim arrived with absolute clarity. He knew exactly who he needed to call and why. He knew what he needed to say. He knew what problems he was solving. He wasn't just making sales calls. He was executing a carefully thought-out plan. His colleagues thought he was lucky. They'd say, Jim always seems to be in the right place at the right time. He always seems to know exactly what to say. He must have a gift for sales. But it wasn't luck, and it wasn't a gift. It was preparation meeting opportunity. And that preparation happened every single morning during that one sacred hour of focused thinking. Now, let me break down why this habit is so powerful. And I want to give you the fundamental principles that make it work, because understanding the why is just as important as knowing the how. First principle, and this is absolutely foundational: your mind is your most valuable asset, but only if you learn to direct it. An undirected mind is like a ship without a rudder. It goes wherever the current takes it, and the current in life is strong. It's made up of circumstances, other people's demands, worry, fear, distraction, the news, advertisements, everything that's screaming for your attention. If you don't take control of your mind, the world will control it for you. Here's something I want you to write down and remember. We become what we think about most of the time. This isn't just philosophy or positive thinking or wishful dreaming. This is law. It's as predictable and reliable as the law of gravity or the law of cause and effect. If you spend your days thinking about your problems, dwelling on what's wrong, worrying about what might go wrong, you'll find more problems. Your mind will seek them out. You'll see problems everywhere because that's what you've trained your mind to look for. But if you spend your days thinking about opportunities, solutions, possibilities, and growth, if you deliberately direct your mind toward what you want to create rather than what you fear, you'll find opportunities. You'll spot them where others see only obstacles. Your mind moves toward whatever you focus on consistently. This is why the daily thinking hour is so transformative. It's when you consciously choose what to focus on. Second principle, success requires a plan, and meaningful plans require thinking time. Now, most people don't fail because they have bad plans. They fail because they have no plan at all. They're improvising constantly, reacting to whatever happens, making it up as they go along. They're like a contractor trying to build a house without blueprints. Maybe they'll get something standing, but it won't be what they really wanted, and it probably won't last. When you spend time each morning thinking and planning, you're creating your blueprint for success. You're deciding what's truly important and what isn't. You're separating the urgent from the important. And these are not the same thing. Most things that feel urgent aren't important. Most things that are important aren't urgent. But they're the things that build your future. During your thinking time, you identify the 1, 2, or 3 actions that will actually move you forward today. Not the 50 things that will merely keep you busy. Not the 100 emails that will fill your time but build nothing. The few critical actions that matter. Let me give you a powerful thought to hold on to. Something that's guided me for decades: 1 hour of thinking is worth more than 10 hours of random action. Think carefully about that. You could work frantically for 10 hours, responding to emails, attending meetings, putting out fires, running from one task to another, and accomplish nothing of real value. Nothing that actually advances your goals. Nothing that builds your future. You'd be exhausted at the end of the day, certainly. You'd feel like you'd been productive, but would you have made progress? Or you could spend 1 hour thinking clearly and deeply about what truly matters, identifying the highest value actions, planning your approach carefully, and then take focused action on those things. And in doing so, you could accomplish more than most people do in a week. Because you're not just working hard, You're working on the right things. Third principle, and this is where the magic really happens. This habit compounds over time. Let me explain what I mean by that. The first day you do this, you might not notice much difference. You'll feel a little more clear, headed perhaps, a little more focused. The first week, you'll notice some clarity, some better decisions, maybe a few good ideas. Good, but not revolutionary. But after 30 days, you'll have generated hundreds of ideas. You'll have solved dozens of small problems before they became big problems. You'll have identified opportunities you would have missed. You'll have made better decisions consistently, day after day. After 90 days, the compound effect becomes remarkable. After a year, you'll be operating at a completely different level than you were before. Think about compound interest in a bank account. $1 earning interest doesn't amount to much. But that dollar earning interest, and then the interest earning interest, and that interest earning interest, over time, it grows exponentially. Your daily thinking time works the same way. Each insight builds on previous insights. Each solved problem makes you better at solving the next problem. Each good decision improves your judgment for future decisions. Meanwhile, those who never stop to think, who never take time to direct their minds, who just react and react and react, they'll still be in the same place a year from now. Oh, they might be a year older and a little more tired, but they won't have made real progress. They'll wonder why their lives aren't changing. And the answer is simple. They never took time to think about changing them. Here's another truth worth remembering, and I want you to really absorb this. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. During your thinking time, the questions you ask make all the difference. Poor questions lead to poor answers and poor results. Questions like, why is this happening to me? Or, why am I so unlucky? Or, why is life so hard? These questions put you in a victim mindset. They don't lead anywhere productive. But powerful questions lead to powerful answers and powerful results. Questions like, what can I learn from this situation? Or, how can I solve this creatively? Or, what's the opportunity hidden in this challenge? Or, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? Or, what's the one action that would make everything else easier? These questions activate your mind in a completely different way. They assume you have power and agency. They assume solutions exist. They point your mind toward possibilities rather than problems. During your thinking hour, ask yourself these kinds of questions. Write them down. Work through the answers. Don't accept your first answer. Dig deeper. Ask why several times. Get to the root of things. This is when breakthrough insights happen. Fourth principle, this habit creates mental discipline. And mental discipline is the foundation of all achievement. In our modern world, and I imagine this is even more true in your time than it was in mine, we're bombarded with distractions. Everyone wants a piece of your attention. Your phone, your email, the news, social media, advertisements, entertainment, other people's problems. Your mind is being pulled in 1,000 directions simultaneously. Most people have completely lost the ability to focus deeply on one thing for an extended period. They've trained their minds to jump from one thing to another every few minutes. And as a result, they never think deeply about anything. They skim the surface of everything but master nothing. But when you commit to this daily thinking practice, you're training your mind to focus. You're building the muscle of concentration. And concentration, my friend, is power. The ability to focus your mind completely on one problem, one goal, one task. That ability is becoming rare, which makes it increasingly valuable. The successful person is simply someone who has learned to focus their mental energy on specific targets for sustained periods. They can shut out distractions. They can think deeply. They can stay with a problem until they solve it. This daily thinking habit is how you develop that ability. Fifth principle, and this might be the most important of all, you cannot hit a target you cannot see. Most people fail not because they're not trying, but because they have no clear target. They have vague wishes. I want to be successful. I want to be happy. I want to be rich, but no specific goals. It's like getting in your car and saying, I want to go somewhere nice. Without a specific destination, you'll just drive in circles. Your daily thinking time is when you define your targets with precision. Not, I want to make more money, but I will increase my income to exactly $75,000 this year by improving my skills in X, Y, and Z and taking on projects A, B, and C. Not, I want to be healthier, but I will lose 15 pounds by June 1st by exercising 4 times per week and preparing healthy meals on Sundays. When you know exactly what you're aiming for, your mind can help you hit it. Your subconscious mind is like a guided missile. It needs a target. Give it a clear target, and it will work day and night to help you reach it. You'll notice opportunities related to your goal. You'll think of ideas. You'll meet people who can help. It's not magic. It's how your mind works when you program it with clear instructions. Now, let me show you how this applies to your life today, right now, in the modern world with all its unique challenges and opportunities. Because principles are wonderful, but application is what matters. First, let's talk about your career. Whether you're employed by someone else, building your own business, or somewhere in between, this hour of daily thinking will transform your professional results. I guarantee it. During your thinking time, ask yourself questions like these: what are the highest value activities in my work? What am I doing that truly matters? And what am I doing just because it's always been done that way? What should I learn this month to become more valuable to my employer or my clients? What skill, if I mastered it, would make me indispensable? Who should I connect with or build a relationship with? What problem can I solve that no one else is solving? What's broken in my industry that I could fix? I promise you, if you spend 1 hour each morning thinking deeply about these questions and planning your actions accordingly, within 6 months you'll be operating at a level that seems remarkable to others. You'll be the person who has answers when others have questions. You'll be the one who sees opportunities that others miss. You'll be the one who gets promoted, or whose business grows, or who gets recruited for better opportunities. Not because you're smarter than everyone else. You're probably not. Not because you work longer hours. You might actually work fewer hours. But because you're thinking strategically while they're merely reacting tactically. You're playing chess while they're playing checkers. Let me give you a specific example from today's world. Say you work in a company and you're feeling stuck in your position. Most people in this situation either complain about it, or they blindly work harder hoping someone will notice, or they start looking for a new job. But none of these approaches involve real thinking. During your thinking hour, you might ask, what does my company need most right now? What problems keep my boss up at night? What's the biggest bottleneck in our operations? And then, do I have the skills to address any of these problems? If not, could I develop those skills? Who could I talk to? What could I learn? What could I propose? This kind of thinking often reveals opportunities right where you are. Maybe you discover your company is struggling with customer retention, and you realize you could learn about customer success strategies, develop a proposal, and present a solution. Suddenly, you're not just an employee doing your job. You're a problem solver adding unique value. That's how people advance. Second, let's talk about your finances. Most people's financial struggles come not from a lack of income, but from a lack of planning and thinking about money. They work hard. They earn money. The money disappears, and they wonder where it went. Then they do the same thing next month. They're on a treadmill. During your thinking time, review your financial goals with clarity. Ask yourself, am I spending my money in alignment with my values and my goals? Where is my money actually going? What could I do differently? How can I increase my income, not just work more hours? That's not thinking, that's just doing more of the same. But really, what valuable skill could I develop? What service could I offer? What problem could I solve for people that they'd pay me to solve? What investment should I be considering? And I don't mean which stocks to buy. I mean, should I be investing in my education, in a business, in real estate? What financial knowledge do I need to acquire? Who do I know who's good with money? And could I take them to lunch and learn from them? This isn't complicated financial planning with spreadsheets and calculators, though that might come later. This is just directed thinking about your financial life. And when you do this consistently, you'll find yourself making better decisions almost automatically. You'll stop buying things that don't matter. You'll start investing in things that build wealth. You'll spot opportunities to increase your income that you were blind to before. Third, in your personal growth and relationships, we live in an age of constant distraction and shallow connection. Most people scroll through their phones for hours, but never spend even 15 minutes thinking about their relationships or their personal growth. They consume endless content, but never create meaningful change in their own lives. Use part of your thinking time to ask, am I being the person I want to be? Am I growing, or am I stagnant? Am I learning new things, challenging myself, expanding my capabilities? Or am I just comfortable doing the same things year after year? What book should I be reading? What skills should I be developing? What fear should I be confronting? And in your relationships, am I giving my best to the people who matter most? Am I present with my family? Or am I physically there but mentally absent? Am I being a good friend, a good partner, a good parent? What could I do today to strengthen my most important relationships? These questions, when asked regularly during your thinking time, keep you aligned with what truly matters. They prevent you from drifting through life on autopilot. They keep you intentional about who you're becoming. In today's world, with all its noise and digital distractions, this quiet hour becomes even more critical than it was in my time. You're bombarded with information, opinions, notifications, demands on your attention. Everyone is shouting for you to look at them, buy from them, believe them, fear something, desire something, be outraged about something. Your thinking hour is your sanctuary from all that noise. It's when you shut it all out, put your phone away, close your laptop, turn off the television, and you sit with a notebook and a pen, and you think. You let your mind work without interruption. This is when the insights come. This is when you connect ideas that seemed unrelated. This is when you solve problems that have been nagging at you. This is when you remember what you actually want from life instead of what advertisements and social media tell you to want. So here's what I want you to understand as we close. And I want you to really hear this, the habit I've described to you today. This 1 hour of daily, focused, deliberate thinking is not an addition to your life that makes it busier. It's not one more obligation on an already full plate. It's a foundation that makes everything else more effective. It's not one more thing to do. It's the thing that makes everything else easier and more productive. This hour doesn't take time away from your life. It multiplies the value of all your other time. It's the highest leverage activity you can engage in. Everything else you do all day long will be more effective because of this 1 hour. Starting tomorrow morning, or better yet, starting today if you can, set aside 1 hour. Make it sacred. Protect it the way you'd protect anything truly valuable. Don't answer phone calls during this time. Don't check email. Don't let other people's emergencies invade this space. This hour is yours, and it's when you take control of your life. During that hour, think about your life with real intention. Think about where you are and where you want to be. Think about your goals with specificity. Write down your thoughts. Don't just think them. There's power in writing. It clarifies thinking. It makes the abstract concrete. Plan your day, your week, your month, your year. Ask yourself powerful questions and work through the answers honestly. Think about problems you need to solve. Think about opportunities you could pursue. Think about the person you're becoming and whether that's the person you want to be. Do this for 30 days straight without missing a single day. And I promise you, you'll see changes you didn't think possible. Your thinking will be clearer. Your decisions will be better. Your results will improve. You'll feel more in control of your life instead of feeling like life is controlling you. You'll make more progress in those 30 days than most people make in a year. Do it for a year, and you'll transform your entire life. This is not an exaggeration. This is not motivational hyperbole. This is what I've seen happen again and again in my own life and in the lives of countless others who've applied this principle faithfully. Remember what I told you at the beginning. We become what we think about. This is law. It's not a suggestion or a theory. It's how human beings work. And if you want to become successful, if you want to become the person you're capable of being, you must think about success deliberately and consistently. You must direct your mind toward your goals every single day, not occasionally when you feel inspired. Not just when things are going badly and you're desperate for answers. Every single day. That's the secret. That's the habit that changes everything. It's not complicated, but it is powerful beyond measure. The most valuable hour of your day is not the hour you spend in meetings, as important as they might seem. It's not the hour you spend checking emails and putting out fires. It's not the hour you spend on social media or watching television, or scrolling through your phone. The most valuable hour of your day is the hour you spend directing your mind toward what truly matters in your life. And here's what I know. Most people will hear this message and think, "That's interesting," and then do nothing. They'll go back to their reactive lives, wondering why nothing ever changes. They'll be too busy to think, too distracted to focus, too comfortable in their routines to make this one simple change. But you, I'm talking to you specifically right now. You have the opportunity to be different. You have the opportunity to take control of your life starting today. Will you do it? Will you make this commitment to yourself? Will you set aside 1 hour tomorrow morning, or even better, sometime today, to sit down and think? Because if you will, I can tell you with absolute certainty based on decades of observation and personal experience 1 year from now, you'll look back on this moment as the turning point, the day everything changed, the day you stopped drifting and started directing, the day you took control of your mind and, in doing so, took control of your destiny. Your future is not created by what you do tomorrow or next week or next year. Your future is created by what you do today, right now, in this moment. And what you think about today becomes your reality tomorrow. The thoughts you think this week shape next week. The thoughts you think this month create next month. The thoughts you think this year determine next year. So think well. Think clearly. Think purposefully. Think about what you want to create, not what you fear might happen. Think about solutions, not just problems. Think about possibilities, not just obstacles. Think about the person you want to become and the life you want to build. And do it daily. Make it a habit as automatic as breathing. Make it non-negotiable. Because this habit, this one simple daily practice of dedicated thinking time, is the foundation of everything else you want to achieve. The great tragedy is not that people fail to achieve their dreams. The great tragedy is that most people never clearly define what their dreams are, never think deeply about how to achieve them, never plan their path, never direct their minds toward their goals with consistency and purpose. They just drift. And then they wonder why they ended up somewhere they never wanted to be. Don't let that be you. Don't let your life be something that just happens to you. Make it something you create deliberately, consciously, through the power of directed thinking. Now, stop listening to me and get started. Take that first hour. Sit down with a notebook and a pen. Turn off all distractions and begin the process of building the life you truly want. Begin taking control of the most powerful tool you possess, your mind. The time is now. Your life is waiting, and it all starts with 1 hour of thinking. Think, plan, act, and watch your life transform.